Hi, I'm John Hornick. Welcome to lesson 27 of Chef's Apprentice, learning to cook like a pro, one small plate at a time. This lesson is the duck breast master recipe. This preparation is your introduction to duck. This master recipe can be used to prepare duck breast for serving simply sliced or for use in any number of other preparations. Duck can be treated like red meat, so it can be served rare or medium rare. This method should reliably yield duck slices of that level of doneness. Here you will practice some of the techniques you've already learned. The only new technique is scoring the duck skin. This serves two purposes. It allows the heat to penetrate the thick and fatty skin to cook the meat. The seared skin will also shrink, brown, caramelize, and pull away from the score, making an attractive presentation. This preparation also yields luxurious duck fat, which you can keep in the fridge or freezer for other applications. Techniques today are scoring meat, seasoning, searing, finishing in the oven, resting, keeping warm, deglazing, reducing, slicing, and adjusting seasoning. So let's start cooking. Okay, let's talk about the mise en place for lesson 27, the duck breast master recipe. Of course, we're going to need a duck breast. I think the description calls for 2, depends on how many small plates you're making. I'm going to make 1 today. I bought these duck breasts already in the breast form. You can also buy a whole duck and break it down into individual pieces. Use the carcass to make duck stock. I have a bonus video on how to make duck stock, how to render duck fat, and make duck cracklings. You also need to have a good quality balsamic vinegar. This one is, I can't pronounce it, but it's spelled O-L-E-A-C-E-A-E. It's imported from Italy, and I bought it at a shop in Santa Fe, New Mexico. It may be the only shop they have here in the U.S. You also need to have some kosher salt and a peppermill. So you don't need much for the duck breast master recipe. That's all we need in terms of ingredients. We'll be back in a minute and I'll show you the equipment. Okay, let's talk about the equipment we'll need for lesson 27. You'll need to have a cutting board, and you will also need to have a slicing knife. I think this is the first time we don't need a chef's knife. Slicing knife. Also need a skillet to sear the duck in. And duck renders a lot of fat when it sears, so I'm going to use a splatter guard so that the duck fat doesn't go everywhere. You also need to have a sizzle plate. I've got the duck on a sizzle plate right now. And you'll need to have either a ladle or a large serving spoon to ladle the extra fat out of the pan as the duck breast is searing. We don't want it to deep fry in its own fat. We want to remove the extra fat so that it can sear, not deep fry. Okay, that's all the equipment we need. We'll break and come back and start cooking. Okay, the only thing on our prep list before we start cooking is to preheat the oven to 375. I've already turned it on 375 degrees, and I've brought the duck out to bring it to room temperature before we score it. All right, the first step on our prep list is to score the fat. Now, what you want to do is you want to use a sharp knife and cut into the duck skin just down to the flesh of the duck. You do not want to cut into the duck meat. So you have to be careful. As I explained earlier, you score this skin so that the heat can get down through that fat, thick skin to the meat and cook it. You don't want to score the actual flesh of the duck because it will cause the duck to release more juices than it should during the searing process. Also, as I explained during the opening, once this is seared, the skin will caramelize, it will pull away somewhat and open up, and so it'll make for a nice appearance. Now we also need to season the duck breast, both sides, salt and pepper. Okay, now it's ready to sear. All right, so we've heated the skillet, so it's hot. It's on medium heat. We have our splatter guard standing by. It's time to sear the duck breast. We're going to put it skin side down in the pan, and we're going to let it cook skin side down for 7 minutes with the splatter guard. So we're checking to see how much fat we have in the pan. We're going to ladle some of that some of that off. Let it keep cooking. Well, our timer just went off. Let's check and see what it looks like. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. So we're going to turn it over, and we're going to sear it on the other side for 2 minutes. Here, timer just went off. We have some nice sizzling sound going on here. Let's see what it looks like. We're getting a nice brown on the bottom. All right, now we're going to take this pan, and well, actually, we're going to take the duck breast, put it on a sizzle plate, and we're going to finish that in the oven for 6 minutes, 375 degrees. Now, set our timer. Now, next thing we're going to do is deglaze the pan with the balsamic vinegar. So what we want to do is just take the balsamic. Well, first of all, I want to get rid of this extra fat here. Pour off the fat. Then add the balsamic vinegar, and it's going to start to reduce quickly because the pan is hot. You just want to swirl it around a little bit. It's reducing its volume just a little bit as it's boiling, but we don't want to reduce it too much because it'll start to get too thick and syrupy. Good, that looks good. It's thickened up just a little bit. Reduced in volume, probably about half. Good, so we're going to take that off the heat. Turn the heat off. All right, now we'll be back after the duck finishes in the oven. Okay, our timer just went off. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at what we have here. Looks good, looks beautiful, brown, caramelized on the top. Got a little bit of brown on the bottom. You can see it's still pink on the sides. Remember, we're going for medium rare to medium. We're going to let this rest in a warm place for about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and then we'll be back to slice and plate. Okay, the duck's been resting probably about 4 minutes. Let's slice it. We're going to slice it with the scoring that we made earlier in the skin. Oh, perfect. It's medium. I'd say it's medium rather than medium rare. Probably medium more toward the end there, and as we get toward the center, it's going to be more medium rare. Okay, now let's plate up. We're just going to plate one. I can see that the center pieces are, they're more in the medium rare range. We're going to put a couple pieces on the plate. Remember, this is just a small plate. This is also a master recipe, so you could use this for some other preparation. And then we're going to take the pan juices and just drizzle a little bit of the pan juice over the top. Then we're just going to do a little finishing salt, a couple grains, and a twist of pepper. And there we have it. Finished duck breast master recipe. You can see photos of the finished dish at my Instagram, @Chef's Apprentice Cook Like a Pro. Next up is the duck and shrimp salad. So we could actually use this duck from the duck master recipe in the duck and shrimp salad. Please remember to subscribe to my channel, and thanks for watching.